the fact that women in general struggle in the world regardless. So if you join the ranks of women, of female energy, then you're going to get all of the things that go with that,
Yeah.
whether we are considered ugly or pretty, we have the right body, the right size boobs, the eyes are too close together, the perfect eyes are further apart, the nose isn't the right size, lips are not too thin, not enough volume. This is just one of those things that I notice that when I speak to parents, to children, to my own daughter, this is inability to see that in the world of females, we have been judged incredibly. There's the female that are wishing that there's the construction men whistling and cheering at them, and there's those that are so sick of it and can't stand it and want to put themselves in the biggest jumper with the biggest fluffy hat on to look anything other than attractive
Yeah.
to the opposite sex. So could you say more about that as you've gone through your own life? How have you navigated that? How have you processed that?
Well, it is interesting. I've heard some trans people say, and also some one recently there was a news piece about one older, quite famous cisgendered woman who actually said she loved being wolf whistled at. But yeah, there are some trans women I've heard say, I felt validated today. I got wolf whistled at. But if you say that to the average feminist, they say, that's the wrong kind of validation, darling. So I do think, yeah, it's important to realize that transition is only the beginning of your problems in that sense. If you're going from male to female, if you're going from female to male, hey, you're escaping it, which is also perhaps one of the reasons that some people postulate there's a massive increase of trans men. It's a mixture of obviously gender identity, but how much of it is also exacerbated or influenced by the for all the freedoms and the growing equalities between male and female, women remain under this image pressure that's never been more strong because of the way it's multiplied through, social media, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And the way that, actually half of the meanness towards women comes from other women. It's like people will hold you to these standards and bully you. So transitioning doesn't get you out of those things. It just, might it just brings you deeper into it in different ways. And so um that's why I do think it is 100% critical to help people um survive. But it's not about surviving transition, it's about surviving the world. And it's about actually trying to find a way in which to self-love. If you can self-love, you need far less affirmation from others to be loved. Hey, we all love to be loved. But if, hey, you'll have better relationships if you can just understand self-love. Um, because then anything that you gain in a relationship is the cherry on the cake, but you yourself recognize yourself as an entire cake already with a decent filling. And and you're not looking for another half. If you see yourself, whether as a trans person, your relationship is with the world and you see the other world as your other half and they've all got to accept you and love you and and say you're wonderful. At the end of the day, the only person that can truly accept you and affirm you and make you feel wonderful is you. And until you can find that space, it's very, very hard to navigate the world. I mean, when I go on TV and things, I literally get told you look like Ozzy Osbourne. Um, you
I
know,
haven't seen Ozzy Osbourne.
um, or some aging rock star. And the language that I hear of myself is um demeaning, it's horrible, or the rest of it. Um, but it's no different to the language used of non-stereotypically beauty standard women or older women or anyone else. And it, you don't get a free pass out of that. And you can't always change that. So the only thing you can do is, and this goes back to, again, various kind of schools of spiritual and psychological thought of, how do you accept yourself? How do you love yourself? How do you recognize that you can't change other people's opinions of you. So the only thing you can do is change your opinion of yourself and your responses to other people's opinions of you. And as I said, those psychological self-survival tools are as valid for the trans person as for the non-trans person. That's why creating psychological integrity, psychological self-belief and safety and things like that are incredibly important to be able to navigate the world, to avoid being bullied by it based upon our gender or based upon our transgender, if you see what I mean. And those are the best tools any parent can give to their child, um, how to navigate the world, because you are going to feel at some point, if not on a daily basis, like the world hates you. The world doesn't accept you. The world says you aren't good enough. The world says you don't look a particular way. Hey, you're all going to age. At some point you're all not going to look good enough anyway. So, to
And has an
somebody else.
opinion.
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
has an opinion.
Yeah, there are things you can't control, and unless you can look yourself in the mirror and see inside you, and literally recognize that you can be comfortable with inside you regardless of how outside you looks. Hey, what happens tomorrow? You drop a pan of boiling water on your face while you're making pasta. You know, you
Your
can't
face. Where were
guarantee
you?
you can't guarantee your external looks for life. Anything
Exactly.
could happen. And if you build and invest everything about yourself and your self-acceptance and your potential for a relationship and everything else, or a relationship with yourself, based upon appearance, you are not going to survive this world. So being able to navigate that and like inner you, irrespective of outer you, outer you's just a bonus, and half the time you didn't do much to get it anyway. People who are stereotypically beautiful, didn't do much to get that way. you know, it was a privilege of birth, but it's also a privilege of current standards. I was in an art gallery in Belgium last week looking at, you know, big hipped, big bummed, small boobed women. In other words, those were the ones that were stereotypically regarded as the versions of
Amazing.
things then. And then we went through, ages of skinniness being attractive, and now we've gone through kind of Kardashian hips and lips and things now again. And so beauty standards will keep changing, and you can't change to keep up. So don't even try. Just try to like you. And
Yeah,
actually, at the end of the day, maturity in any relationship with self or with someone else in a relationship is about going beyond the physical. It's
mhm.
because if you want to be in a long-term relationship and age together with someone, it's got to be about way more than the appearance, because appearances will change and fade.
It's exactly. And the way that I like to describe it is that we are a source of energy,
Mm.
and then we have these cells, and these cells are, they create a structure